don't know me, my name is Grant Harrison. As Trevor said, I own Nextra Consulting. A little bit of history. People always ask, why do you get to stay at the front of the room, or why do you get to stay in front of the people? So I've been in the industry for more than 30 years. Like most people in the industry, started out as a great summer job, pushing a lawnmower. When I graduated high school, didn't know what I wanted to do. Ended up going to Congress, found the Humber College booth at the back of the building, and I ended up going to Humber College to get my landscape technician course. After that, I grew up north of Toronto, worked for a couple landscapers up there, ended up moving to Muskoka and worked in Muskoka for a couple years. Beautiful building, beautiful lakefront properties. Ended up meeting my wife, which we've been married for 26 years. Hopefully this isn't recorded, or my pause will get me in trouble for sure. 26 years. And yeah, so ended up moving home to London, where we currently reside. Worked for a couple of large companies in London area. Went to the Clinchar franchise, went through the Gelderman franchise, and 6 years ago we started Nextra Consulting, and that's kind of where we're at today. So, SA, can you do the next slide for me? Yeah. So, Nextra Consulting is really, we want to help business landscape owners make money with their trade. And really, education is one thing we love to do. So we're here tonight. We're excited about the next 3, 4, 5 chapter meetings we have. And really, it's actually really nice with a small group because they get more one-on-one. Too big of a group, it becomes a lecture series, and that's not what we're want. So we're really excited about this. So yeah, so education for Nextra is really important. We do HR services, coaching is the kind of the basis of what we do, and then financial services. But tonight we're going to talk about HR, because that's kind of the one thing that most times people are asking us right now is, I need more staff. I don't need more sales. I don't need equipment. I need more good staff to do it. So we thought we'd start with that. So SA, can you change the slide again for me? So the next 3 months, what we've kind of done, the Waterloo chapter had an idea about, again, as Trevor mentioned, about how to get more people engaged in the chapter. So what we thought we would do is take content that's already created for us and just work through it. So anyone seen these books? For those of us who've been around a while. So this is the CLT or CHT program, whatever it's called. I looked at this, I found my books. So this book I got in January of 2008, and Sally Harvey taught me this course. So I still have my notes and everything. So when we talked about this, I was like, okay, this is pretty good to do. Now, again, most of it's pretty relevant. There's some stuff that's a little outdated, but really the content of tonight is going to come from this book. But ideally, what we want to do is, the content's here, but I really want to hear from you guys, issues you have, opportunities you're looking for, questions you might have. So I really want to make this really interactive as much as we can. So SA, next one. Oh, sorry, can you go back? Sorry, that's what we're going to do tonight. The next couple of months, October the 4th, we're going to do winter preparation. So the idea behind each one of these events is the Waterloo chapter would really like you to bring the owner plus some of your staff members. Okay, so tonight we're hoping that the owner's here and maybe an HR person or someone that hires someone. Again, if you look on the website, we've kind of laid out who should be here. Next month, October the 4th, we're back here again. We're going to do winter preparation. So owner, if you have an ops team, mechanic, anyone that is involved in like hands-on operations stuff, we'd love for them to come, right? It's going to be very practical, again, very informative. So yeah, we're going to do that. November 1st is roadmap for success, and really or strategic planning. So most people will just be like, hey, we're winding down from the season. January 1st, we want to hit the ground running, and what do we want to do next year? So what we want to do is help you with strategic planning. Kind of after you get back, a lot of people will be like, hey, I go to Congress. Then as soon as I get back from Congress, we're going to lock ourselves in the boardroom and we're going to come up with a plan for 2023, actually 2024. So we're going to help you with strategic planning. And then December goes into sales and marketing. And again, it's going to be focused mostly on spring sales, how to market, whether maintenance, snow, landscape design, whatever it is, we're going to help you on that. Again, all the content are in these books. So if you don't have access to these, CLA does or not, we're not sure if they do have some of these books online. You can get this online if you want to follow along. What the other thing Carrie's done an amazing job is if you're looking, if I talk about a template, or if you're looking for a template that we talk about at any time, we're going to do an online template holder, I guess, like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Online file sharing. So if you're like, hey, Grant, you talked about this type of like maybe a sample job description or an operations template or something like that, just let me know what you're looking for. We'll put it up on the website, and then anyone who registered can get access to it. But that's kind of what's happening in the next 3 months. So again, I'm excited. I love the interaction. I want to hear from you. To me, if I can speak less than half the time tonight, that's even better. Some people call it stump the chump as well. So if you want to try to stump me, feel free. I'm happy to do that as well and share kind of my lessons in life and going from there. So, all right, essay. Next one. So tonight we're going to cover these topics. Navigating HR, one more. Okay, so how to develop and implement an effective recruiting and hiring practices. What do some company HR policies need to look like and have to have? What are some good education and training programs? How we retain our staff, some topics around safety programs, job descriptions, and the last one, managing employee discipline and termination. So we do have some people online. I think people did register. Someone already sent a question in on this last topic of how do I manage discipline an employee with a certain thing. So we're going to get to that type of stuff. So if there's something on here that you're like, a topic I would like to talk about that's not on here, please let me know. Okay, like put up your hand. Like I don't want to necessarily stick to this whole script tonight, like line by line, because that's not very fun either. So is there anyone like would put their hand up and say, I have a topic or I have a pain point that doesn't fall into one of these sections? No? Really? Okay. Wow, we did a really good job of putting out the outline. So, okay, so that's kind of what we're going to do tonight. Essay? What's the next one there? Okay, so before we get into the content, because it's a small group, what I'd like to do is just kind of go around to each table, introduce yourself, what company you're from, just a little bit about maybe what your role is, and maybe one thing you're hoping to get out of tonight. Does that make sense? Name, company name, what's one thing you're hoping to get out? So we'll start with Bellevue, because I know this group of here. So yeah, speak loud.
Bellevue Brett, maintenance manager. We're just hiring good staff.
Hiring good staff. Okay. Annalise.
Yeah, Annalise from Bellevue. I'm production manager as well as lead horticulturalist. And yeah, I'm hoping to kind of learn more about the requirements for like CLHM and CLF.
Requirements from
through like isn't
no worries. Same program? Is it? Okay. Okay. If I don't answer that through it, I'll answer it afterwards. How's that? That make sense? Okay. Yep.
Brandon Pulaski, Red Ray Landscaping, GM, and just started to go down the path of CLHM. I haven't really used it much myself, so I'm to see what it's all about.
It's a program that it has a lot of content. Not a lot of people use it, right? Which is unfortunate because the content is there. It's amazing. Even when I picked out all the books again, like there's a pile this high, and I'm like, man, why don't we leverage this as a industry? People before us took a lot of time to put it all down on paper, and it's really good. So it's good.
For it. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for
So
being here.
yeah.
Jason Dietrich, Ace Lawn Care, interested in getting a good meeting, getting good conversation. So love to hear other people's perspectives on problems that we're all having.
Okay.
Doug Carmen, Business Development Manager for MCon Pipe Products and Air. We're a new member, supplier member, so we're in the retaining wall business. I'm here to, number one, just kind of start to get involved with the association itself. Number two, this is a very timely topic as we're all struggling with labor. Looking for tips, ideas, just different perspectives and how we can improve our employee capture and retention. So.
Yep. Good.
Yeah, Trevor Gar, Landscape Plus. This is a topic that everyone's hot list is on. Just really looking for the one nugget. I think we learn lots and often when we have these meetings, that one takeaway that you can go and implement tomorrow.
Yeah.
Don't know what that is yet, but I'll.
You're looking for it? Yeah, good.
Yeah.
We'll call it, Joey, call me. Yeah. I haven't learned my nugget yet. Get it back up there. I've got my money's worth. We'll get it.
And, again, dialogue, I encourage it. and-
Yeah.
And let's make a great meeting and.
Yeah.
And all talk together.
So. Colin?
Yeah, so Colin from Riverwood, I'm interested in always be hiring and that concept. That's something that we've never done. We've always done a spring and maybe a winter rush or spring, fall, winter rush. And creative job postings, that same thing. So maybe the beginning of the hiring process is something I'm focused on.
Yep, okay.
Sarah, I'm a co-owner at Riverwood and, this is my first meeting, but, it'd be nice to just hear from different insights and stuff.
Tony from Riverwood, just kind of looking to learn something about hiring, kind of your perspective on it.
Yep, okay, thank you.
I'm Carissa from Riverwood. I'm just excited about hearing, hiring and retention and then just overall learning.
Yep. Back table back here, middle table, I guess.
Natasha Fast Works, we specialize in large tree spading. Just here to engage in, I guess, converse and dialogue about employee retention and different ideas.
Yeah, good, thank you.
Lucan, Fast Forest. Yeah, any tips for keeping staff engaged and feeling fulfilled on the job? Appreciate it.
Okay.
Steve, Snyder Church Landscape Care. And continue with self-improvement.
Okay.
Blake from Creative Landscape Depot. I'm generally interested in the entire course. Staffing obviously is a huge issue for everybody, and I haven't really interested in hearing what to say about that today.
Okay.
Eric Morosky, reliable care again, but don't know yet. I'm here to learn about the course. I might take it. And another one.
Yep.
I'm Evan Nixon. I'm Landscape Ontario's Director of Membership, and I just think it's a fantastic initiative that you're trying to put together this year. So I can check it out, meet some of you, and see how it goes.
Good. Evan, good to see you again. I saw you a couple of weeks ago at the Toronto tournament. So it was good to, thanks for coming out. We appreciate it. Okay, so a couple of things we're going to talk about on this one. Always be hiring, creative job posts, referral program. How do we leverage technology? What are some Landscape Ontario programs? Because there's tons of programs out there that not enough of us participate in. What other government programs, incentives are out there? And then how to leverage personality profiles. So I think we are doing better. Colin, you had said early on, like what you had said is typically we would hire spring and fall. And I would say most of our industry pre-COVID, we're hiring spring and fall, right? We did a big push for winter. We did a big push for spring. I think most of us now, when I look around, are always hiring. Most of us always have a job ad up. Like we go on, like I'm in LinkedIn. We have an HR department, so they're always going on. So almost every company realizes now they always have to be hiring. So I think as an industry, we've got that one down, okay? If you don't always hiring, if you don't have an ad up, doesn't mean you have to hire someone, but that one right person may come along, and trust me, you need to look at that person, even if you don't necessarily have a spot for them. Don't feel pressured that you have to do that. It's advertising for work. It's just like a client. Doesn't mean you have to take every client that responds to an ad. But to me, I think you always need to be doing, because again, we see the turnover in our staff is too high still, right? And we're going to talk about that on the retention side. But if you had one or two people that you're like kind of grooming, or that's kind of there, and one person leaves, then you're not feeling like I'm trapped, right? For most owners, we dread that if this key person left me today, I'm screwed, right? Not that we are screwed, but that's how we feel as owners. So to me, it's really, really important to be able to do that. I think as an industry, we are getting way better at this. But I just really encourage you to always be hiring. Just keep a post out there, see what's out there. It's kind of like fishing a little bit. You would be really surprised what can come through and what can come through. And again, to me, if an A player comes along, hire them, find them a place, and they will they'll make you money for them to be there. And it's a really good way to be able to do it. So who's got a posting right now that they have up? Who's got a posting up right now? Colin, you guys have any postings? No postings? You guys have a posting for an empty spot or for like Yeah, you guys are looking for winter. Yeah. Trevor? Couple postings, all open positions, or still kind of fishing a little bit to see what's out there? Okay, good. Yep. Brett, sorry. Yes, both? Yeah? I trust you. We're not gonna verify it. I'm not gonna go back and be like, yeah. Okay, so again, just keep stuff going. Again, you've got to keep it to the top of the list. You have to always do it. It's hard right now to be able to do that. But you got to stay on top of it. It needs to be someone's job to be able to do that. Creative job postings. This is the one thing we suck royally as an industry. Okay, so most of us are not English majors. Most of us did not go to school to write stuff. I can pretty much tell you from what I see is I can pretty much say I can take this ad and I can see the 10 ads below that are just the same wording, maybe a couple different things different, but they're exact same ad over and over again. We're paying this. This is the work hours. This is what we're expecting to do. And period, call us. None of those ads are going to get answered typically. Okay. You have to be creative. The one thing that I love right now is artificial intelligence, EI. No. What's the word? AI. Sorry. Thank you. Is really good. So you can just take your ad, just go to Chat GTP and it'll come up with a nice creative ad for it. But you have to be able to show people why they want to come work here. What's going to differentiate you from all the other landscapers out there? Most of us, if you're sitting in the room, you have a differentiation already, right? You're trying to build a better company. You're trying to get better people. But if your ad doesn't show that, it doesn't show like, this is why we want you to come. Here's why it's exciting to come work for us. Then you're not going to get people to come to the ad. We're going to talk about what you do after that with some technology. Actually, I'm going to move to that right away. So for ads, how many people right now leverage technology? They put an ad out, whether on Indeed or anything like that, and they actually have technology that helps them respond to those ads and stuff like that. Anyone? Trevor, what do you guys have?
We actually have used Upwork to offshore that to a recruiter.
To recruiter? Yeah.
And so, yeah, we haven't used any of the automatic text or
Yeah.
anything, but that's next.
That's next. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Steve, did you say? No, you didn't have anything?
The Indeed one, but.
Yeah.
So I like.
Is it? Yeah. Yeah. So we have one client that they have it's all text program. So to me right now, this generation wants to do texting. I hate it. Honestly, it drives me up the wall. Like, and that's just who I am. I would rather, send me an email and then I want to do a phone call with you, but I have to change my way of doing it because that's not the way the staff want to do it. So right now, always think about if your employee's sitting in their bed 10 o'clock at night and they see your ad and they want to be able to text you information, they need something back right away. And there's lots of great programs out there. If you need a referral, I can refer you to that. But you can get pretty much 80% of the information through a texting program that can have them engaged. So when you wake up in the morning and everyone's waking up early, but you get to the office 8 o'clock in the morning, you can actually see like an interaction with this potential employee and you haven't had to do anything. Rather than sitting there and going 8 o'clock in the morning and then you don't get to it till 8 because there's a fire that started that you have to put out and all that type of stuff. And that's 4 o'clock, you still haven't responded. This generation that we're all hiring right now needs that instantaneous interaction. And the texting programs are really easy to do. It's really simple to do, but you have to leverage technology and just be able to ask. It's just simple questions. It's just, if yes, then what? So like, do you have a license? Yes. If it says no, then it'll kick it down and you'll actually see that. Do you have landscape experience? If yes, then goes here. If no, then goes there. What type of job you're looking for and stuff like that. So if you're manually still doing responding to job descriptions, you're wasting your time because one of your competitors is probably leveraging that through technology, is going to respond to that person faster without the owner or without an HR person actually doing it, which is crazy, but it is there. So
You have some of the names.
I do, and I can get them. I'll put the list on the I'll give it to Carrie to do that. So I don't actually have the name right on the top of my head. So, but I can find that out for you. So yeah, leveraging technology is the number one thing to do that. Even on an HR program, so many of us are still on paper. When it comes to HR, we still have employee files and all that type of stuff. So to me, there's lots of HR technology out there that you can do that type of stuff. We recommend Bamboo HR. There's all kinds of other stuff that that is really good, but again, leverage it. It's online. People can use it for, booking vacation off. They can have their employee reviews in it. You can communicate as a team through it. But we just don't, as an industry, we don't leverage technology around the HR well enough right now. So that's really, really important that we do that. Again, maybe it's not us, but find someone else who can do that for you. Okay. And again, we're going to hear that over and over again tonight. Just because I can't do it doesn't mean that someone maybe else in my organization wants to do it. And I should just empower them to be able to do that. So referral program. Who has a referral program they'd like to share with us? Anyone? No one has a referral? Colin?
We haven't necessarily had anybody hired through this method.
Yeah.
Like you said, like cash bonus.
Yeah.
On hiring after.
Okay.
Maybe like $400 when they're hired. If you have a friend who's hired, we'll give you $400.
Yep.
And if they stay for 3 months, you get another $400.
Okay. So $800 total then?
Yeah.
Okay. The referral person gets the bonus. So that person
Employed staff.
gets the $800. Okay, perfect. So that's a good one. I like that one. Anyone else have a program that they can use?
Yeah, part-time staff or seasonal staff was 500, and then if it was full-time staff, you got $1,000.
Yeah.
Who's always still looking.
Yeah. So, yeah, to me, I think every company needs a referral program. I would say right now, $1,000 is pretty much where I would start. And I like the 2 payment system because I do like it split. So $500 when the person starts, when they show up for the first day, but you need that extra payment at the end of it. So that at the end of 3 months, that person stays, right? So the person that's the friend is motivated to keep that person around, keep them engaged. So I do like the 2 system. I don't like the 1, but 2. And I think to me, the $1,000 is pretty reliable, is a pretty good target for most people to do that. And it's really, really good. Yes, thank you. Perfect. So Colin said, for those of online, said they have a program that does $400 at the start, $400 3 months later. Yeah, so it's good. So I like that program. I like the time frame. I would like you to kind of put it up a little bit. Again, I'm not spending your money for you, but I think you do that. The other thing you really need to do in order for this program to get traction, because we'll talk with a lot of contractors and they're like, we do this and we do 1 or 2 people and then it just falls apart and no one knows that we even have it. So the biggest thing is, to me, is I want to actually give the people, do not put it on their paycheck. Like if you can, like go back to old school, get an actual paper check, put it in an envelope. And if you have a staff meeting, actually hand it to the person that's getting the check, right? To celebrate, like, hey, Tommy, welcome. Thank you so much. Tommy's friend, here's $500 for bringing Tommy. And then 3 months later, the next time you have a company thing, Tommy's friend, here's another $500 because Tommy lasted 3 months. You need that. If people just put it on their check, this generation doesn't see any extra money on their check. It just goes into their bank account and they don't even know. They probably won't even know they got it most of the time. We hear that over and over again. So.
Do you have any insight on referral program I love? What about an incentive for what are your thoughts on that?
So the question is, what type of incentive for a new employee? For what?
Like, would you do a hiring? I've just always questioned, what about everyone else on staff?
Yeah.
You see it on a billboard in front of offices, factories, $2,000 bonus to start.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's got some caveat to it.
Yeah.
Right? But just wondering if you had any input on that.
So a lot of these programs are a double-edged sword, right? Because, and a lot of us, when we're in a hiring pinch, we typically forget about our current staff. So it's good that you brought that up. So you have to be very careful anytime you're doing a program like this, and especially if you're doing new incentive programs or anything like that. It's just like, you have to think about, what does this mean to our current staff, right? So most of our clients will, if let's say they come to me and like, hey, Grant, I want this type of position within the company, I can tell them, I'm like, listen, if you want to have someone relocate, or if I got to spend a lot of money to bring this in, a hiring bonus definitely helps. But it doesn't, I don't think from my perspective, I don't think it actually helps. Right. It may get the odd person in to be like, oh, I'm looking for the $1,000, but then they're there for the $1,000. Right. they're not actually there because maybe we haven't done a good enough job in making a good job description or selling them on why they should come. So I would rather save that $1,000 as a signing bonus and put that into creative writing, and again, if we throw cash at something, it's always easier than putting the resources into doing it the other way. Right. So to me, that's a bit of a band-aid as far as I think factory work. If you're looking for factory work and you just need that person, then I think a signing bonus is pretty good. I think for our industry, we have way more to offer than that. So I think I would rather invest that $1,000 into good writing, put it towards technology, getting a better referral system than a signing bonus for sure. So that's my opinion. Yep.
It's the same though for, I don't know if you call it a signing bonus, but 6 months in, you get you get like that bonus after you've been employed.
So the question was for the person that's being hired, it's more of a, hey, if you've been with us for 6 months, we'll give you X amount of money. I don't know anyone, again, my small world that we live in, I don't know anyone that's done that with success. And again, I think for me, it's more important that we share culture. Are they bought into the vision of it? Are they trained well, to me, rather than spending that money? So again, I would rather invest that money into a system that keeps them maintained rather than just get the money. Because I think what's going to happen is like that person could just be working for that $1,000 and the next day they walk in and be like, thank you. And then they were they were already checked out a month ago. They were counting the days to do it. Right. So so to me, throwing cash at stuff is typically a fast symptom to solve a problem. It's more of a band-aid issue than it is that. So again, cash is king though. Like for most people, sometimes cash is king for that. So any other referral programs worked? How many people right now? I think Steve, you and I talked about when you had walked in today. Pizza is here. Woohoo, pizza here. Steve, you had talked about lots of staff coming back. So talk to us about that.
I'm very grateful, very humbled that we have built a culture over the last number of years that have created ways into men and the transition on. They'll even come back and help us out when it works in their schedule with team jobs. And we've got guys that are well experienced and just know our culture and want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
So I've got guys coming back from Nova Scotia, I've got guys coming back from Australia. Okay, yeah, it's just it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So just keep doing what you're doing. You'll treat everybody well, right?
Yeah.
You're just instead of giving them cash, do something as a team. Get everybody engaged. That's kind of something that works well for us.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
you kind of build as a team. There's no lone wolves. If you're a lone wolf, you're usually not the last one. So.
Yep. The one thing I see, and we're going to talk about, I don't think as an industry we have a hiring issue. I think we have more of a retaining issue than we have in hiring people. If we retained 80% of our staff, we'd be in really good shape. Most companies don't retain 80% of their staff. We have companies, one of those things we ask when we first go to a company is, what is your retention rate for staff? And they're like, well, we've never measured that before. So we've had companies that are like 80%. We've had companies that are like 40%. So if you only have 40% of your staff returning every year, you have a huge issue because that's cost of training those people over and over again is hugely costly. It doesn't get good client work. You can't keep quality up. You can't keep staff because again, people just see this turnover. And we can talk about that. The other thing I think that comes to that is so many owners don't allow staff to leave well. Okay, so when someone comes to you and says, hey, I have another opportunity, or this is what's happening, a lot of us, and again, I'm guilty of this because I feel like, hey, I've invested in you, this is where it is, and then they come and say, hey, we're leaving, and I'm like, oh, and typically it's an emotional reaction, which is not very good typically, and we don't allow people to leave well. I think, Steve, I'm just guessing, you've allowed those staff to leave well. We celebrate that, right? So if you can celebrate someone leaving and thank them so much and keep that door open, most people, when maybe they went to the job and the grass was not greener on the other side, right? Maybe they realized that the new job that they got poached for was not close at all what that actually was. But if you did not allow them to leave well and you didn't celebrate them, they're never going to come back. But if you were to like, hey, thank you so much, we're happy about this new opportunity, but If it doesn't work out, you're always welcome here. Then we do see that return of staff coming back quite a bit, but that's on the owner not to react and to celebrate that, to do that. So, yeah. The other thing with that, which is really, really good. Anyone do exit interviews? Not on this list. Any exit interview for anyone? Colin? Yeah. Occasionally. If you do not do, okay, so if you want one tidbit, maybe this is Trevor, do an exit interview, and I can put a template up for you. To me, an exit interview is the number one thing that gives you so much insight of what's going on in the company. As an owner, don't read the exit interview, okay? Because you'll react to stuff in the exit interview. Let's say there's 10 points that the person said that you could improve in the business. Probably only 5 of those are actually legitimate, like, okay, these are actually good. The other ones are kind of like emotion or that's not really legible and stuff like that. But have someone else in your business read them and go through them and say, you know what, these 5 points are really, really good. And I think we need to improve on that. When they leave, they have nothing to lose. Our staff, as an owner, which is so frustrating in my whole career, we want our staff to be honest with us. We're constantly saying, give us feedback. Let us know how you're doing. And they do not do it. I don't know why. I've pleaded with people. I'm like, I'll take you out for lunch. How's it going? What's going on? Is there anything we can improve? No, everything's good. And then a month later, you're like, and I'm like, I just had you out for lunch a month ago and you didn't tell me any of this. Well, I didn't want to get you upset. I'm like, listen, you're not going to hurt my feelings. So, yep. And go for a drive. Yep. That's a good one. Yeah, confessional. Yeah. 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 They could just kind of look out the window and yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good one. I love that one.
Really good with my wife. She takes the guys for rides.
I can get out. Yeah, exit interviews are amazing. Again, a lot of times you have to do them. Typically, as soon as a person leaves, getting them back is almost impossible. So I try to get them the day that they're going to leave, right? If you want to get them in the morning or try to get them early on, or if you can do it right after if they give you notice and they can actually giving notice and staying for notice is not a thing anymore. I've learned that. For us, my dad would say, if you give notice, it needs to be like 2 weeks and then add a week for every year that you've been there. That doesn't exist anymore. So many people walk in or just don't show up. That's the other problem. But if you can get that exit interview, there's so much important information there. And again, I think we just asked like 4 questions and we just allow them to do it. Again, having them write it out, they're not going to write it out. So to me, it's a matter of sitting down across from someone and saying, here's 4 questions we'd like to do. Would you mind going for a ride with Steve's wife? and doing that, right? But I think it's really important to however you can do it. There's lots of good information. Don't overact as an owner because again, you got to sift through some of that information they're giving you. But again, high level, great feedback when it comes to that. So, yep. Yes. Mm-hmm. One step down. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. To me, it's irreplaceable. Like it's so much value to it to be able to do that. So, yeah. Any other questions on referral programs before we carry anything online for questions? Nothing yet. Okay. All right. We'll keep going then. So the other one we've talked about, someone asked about the Grow program at the back. Who was asking about Grow program? You guys were asking about the Grow program, right? So to me, Landscape Ontario has spent tons of money, tons of resources on supplying programs for us as landscapers. The problem is that they spent all this time advertising it. They spent all this time setting them up. And the first thing I hear is there's no participants. So the apprenticeship program is probably one of the best programs we can get out there. Sally Harvey and a bunch of the other LO staff worked for years to get this program built, get it approved by the government. And every year I always hear on the apprenticeship program, it's not going to run this year because we don't have enough members, which is infuriating for me because I'm like, I understand that when I go to a business, they're like, there's no programs for my staff. And I'm like, there's tons of programs for our staff. So when I first left, so I gave you my little bit of history. I've always grown up in Landscape Ontario. So like since I was 16 years old, I think was my first Congress. So I've just known this. That's all I've known is Landscape Ontario. So I always knew professional development through the winter months. I always knew Congress. I always knew chapter meetings. That's all I ever knew. My first year with Nextra Consulting, I got an opportunity to go on the road with one of the suppliers to talk at different places throughout the US at trade shows. And I was always amazed that you would go to Michigan or Ohio or like even Florida, and just to see that their landscape association was so small. The city, I speak in Michigan in 2 more weeks. So Michigan, big state, right? State, not country, state. They have 2 staff members for all of Michigan. Right. So, and they are struggling. They put 1 trade show on. Their trade shows in 2 more weeks. And it's probably the trade show is going to be twice the size of this room. Right. So LO has done an amazing job with all these courses. All these programs that we're going to talk about are amazing programs that are available to us at like little to no cost. Okay. So most of the speakers don't make any money at that. They're here because they're passionate about it. It's right down the road for all of us. Like you can send a staff member to LO or do an online course. Like tonight, it's free. It's for non-members. It's $25. If you're a member, it's free. Right. So, but there's just so many great programs at Landscape Ontario to leverage staff. So to me, the number one is the apprenticeship program. That program is amazing. It's paid. There's great bonuses for the staff. There's great incentives for the employer. The downfall is you have to give up a staff member for 2 to 3 months in the wintertime. But that outweighs that. The whole thing of losing that staff member outweighs the other stuff. If you do snow, it's a little bit of a pain point, but to me, again, we're talking about how to create culture, how to keep people retained. And again, what an amazing program, and it's government funded, which is even better. So send anyone through the apprentice program before? Has anyone been through Steve, you've had a couple guys, 3 guys. Okay. Couple 2. Okay. 3 guys still with you? No? Did they stick around for a while? Was green on the other side? Oh, dang it. We're supposed to. Is he? Okay, there you go. So, yeah. Do you? Yeah. Well, it's the threat of it. Education is, like I said, it's almost a double-edged sword, right? They teach you to be able to do that type of stuff. So, yeah. Trevor, for you, what couple?
Stayed with us for a while.
Yeah.
Still in the industry now.
No, with you?
Again, I hear you on that, but what's the line about training, right? Like,
Yeah.
You can't afford to train, but you can't afford to.
Yeah.
Right, so.
Yeah.
It's, and all still in the industry.
That they stayed in the industry, yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So honestly, there's tons. The Grow program's another one they're spending tons of money on, tons of resources on. If you don't know what the Grow program is, either I can help you afterwards, but it's another great program that's government incentivized. Landscape Ontario has done an amazing job putting a bunch of people into this program for us. Most of us don't know it even exists. So I don't know who the contact is at LO right now, but you can just, Carrie, do you know who the contact is at LO for Grow program? Different Carrie. Carrie Underwood. Okay. Like, does the singer Carrie Underwood? Yeah, maybe. Wow, we did a really good job. You can get them the contact for that. So yeah, again, great Grow program, great incentives for the staff member. There's lots of people in it. The one downfall, you didn't hear this from me. A lot of the Grow program need to be close to bus routes. So if you're close to a bus route, it works really, really well. You guys are not going to be good because you guys are in the middle of nowhere, because they are coming. A lot of them don't have licenses and stuff like that. But for those of us who are rural, or those of us who are in towns or in the cities, have a location or have ability to pick people up, it works really, really well for that. There's just tons of other programs right now, and I'm just blanking on it. The education, Congress is good. Anything like that. There's just so many programs out there, and I know Joe's working and the team's working on a bunch of other programs right now. So.
I had a question. Does everyone make it mandatory for taking? Like, I've tried for decades to get these guys to take courses. Said I'm going to pay for them. Offering that up. Really, percentage wise, I'd say it's next to 0.
Yep. So the question for those of you who are online was, is there a program that you can incentivize people to take education, right? Kind of allow them to show the initiative? Is that,
Well, I say, pay for it if they pass.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
That's fair.
Yep.
You know, if you pass and you show up and you do your work.
Yep.
You get, and I pay for it.
okay. Anyone else have a good incentive program to send people to courses? Create that culture?
Not that I have an incentive program, but I've only been able to get the most devoted, the best of the best to carry. So I haven't been successful in that either.
Yeah.
Getting, the majority of the team being interested in that education program.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Okay,
A lot of this stuff's online.
it is. Yeah, you can do it a lot online, right?
CSP online. Previous courses are all online and stuff. I just did 50 of them.
Again,
Hard. If you want basic.
Oh, green is for us is mandatory. That's the program we have.
If you get them started to build on that, then maybe they'll be interested to go take the courses at LO or Filter or something like that.
one of the best practices we've seen is we've made it part of the company, one of the companies we've done work with, they've made it part of their annual review. So part of you getting a raise is part of those, and they actually stipulate what courses to take in order to get that. So if you're on a hardscape crew, if you can take an advanced stone cutting or an excavator course, like they'll actually make it there. So if you want an extra $2, here's 3 courses you need to take in order to get that extra money.
So just like our continuing education.
Exactly. Yeah. So which to me is really good because they're dirt cheap. And then the company that we do that does that, they pay for it because they realize that person is going to create more revenue for them if they've taken that course. Right. So that $500 excavating course to run that mini excavator, they're going to get that back in the next 2 weeks after the person knows how to do it. Right. So, yeah.
Sorry, just a quick question. Like with the courses, like tend to find that people in any trades, generally speaking, don't really do well with like sitting in class.
Yep.
So I'm not too sure the guy that asked the question. If it's online courses, maybe that's what's sort of like not engaging them. Like, is it more hands-on courses? Would you get a more success rate?
I think most of the courses are pretty much hands-on, right? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like I think again, most of the people that are doing the course are landscapers, right? So the courses I teach, I'm teaching ones that I'm like, here's hands-on, here's how to do it, right? Again, just like I'm doing tonight. I can sit here and lecture this whole time and not engage you at all.
Yeah, no, I'm
right?
just thinking of like
So-
the whole texting thing you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Just like how do we teach these kids
Yeah.
through, right?
Mhm.
How do we get them hands-on?
Yeah.
Like passionate about it?
Yeah. So to me, again, I would put it part of, if you can tie it to an incentive program, like a raise, annual review, if you can, again, go back to the referral bonus about celebrating someone, again, maybe it's like, hey, $500 if you finish this course. Again, just show people so-and-so created a course today, celebrate that thing. And then other people see it and it starts to create some momentum. Government programs, initiatives, again, lots of government grant writing right now. If you do not know, there's tons of grants, and we'll just quick this and then you guys can have pizza and then we'll keep going. There's tons of grants right now out there for free money. Okay. If you're looking for the grants, I can give you a list on it, but there's a new hire grant for like $1,500 for every new hire you do. There's ongoing education credits you can get for it. There's just tons and tons of money right now for grants out there that you just got to write. They're really easy to fill out and it's free money for employers. So again, I can give you the full list. I'll put the full list, give it to Carrie and she can do that. But there's pretty much, I don't know, there's endless amounts of money out there for us to be able to do. And then leverage personality profiles before I let you go for pizza. Who leverages personality profiles? Yep. What do you guys use? Winslow? Yep. Okay. And when I say personality profiles, does anyone know what that means? Am I speaking? No? Who knows what a personality profile is? If you don't, that's okay. No? Do you guys know what a personality profile is?
We understand the concept.
Yeah. Okay. So you never, okay. So a personality profile, there's all kinds, like there's Winslow, there's DISC, there's like 10 different personality profiles. There's tons of, there's free ones. We have one that we can pay up to $2,500 with. And all it is having someone fill out a questionnaire, typically online, and then a good profile will tell you what that person's personality is like. how they're going to do within the role. So if you give that, if you can plug in the job description, they'll give you a success rate of how this person's going to do within that role based on the questions they answer, how they were going to do today versus how that person's going to do 30 days, 60 to 90 days from now. And it just gives you a real insight for someone. Because honestly, most owners are awful hiring people. We fall in love with people typically at a resume, and we're pretty blind to that. But the personality profile doesn't allow you to do that. So leveraging stuff like that.
Does it personality change over time as you know, become part of the company, or does it?
Typically, no. And that's a great thing. If you have a good personality profile, they'll change over time with maturity, but typically that's a 10 to 15 year. But for most of the staff, it's like, yeah, same type of thing, right? So people will be weird because they'll take it and they'll be like, oh, they'll just ask weird questions like, what color is the fish's blue eyes? And you're like, why are you asking these stupid questions? And then you get the summary back, and people are like, that's not at all like me. And then you're like, I always say, take the survey. Once you get it printed off, because they can print it off right away. You'll get a summary within 1 minute. And I always say, take that results to your significant other and have your significant other read it. And your significant other will be like, that's exactly who you are. I'm like, I'm not that person. I'm not that shallow. Or I'm not that cold. And you're like, yes, you are that shallow, that cold. Right. And there's strengths and weaknesses. None of us have all strengths, right? Like I have some glaring weaknesses. My wife will tell you that. Right. And it comes out in my personality profile when I do one. But again, as long as I know that as an employer and I can work with you and I can talk to you, and I already know that about you as an employee, that I'm more well prepared and I can set you up for success. So
Well, and they know it about themselves.
they know it. Yeah. Some people call it, like, we've had people not fill it out. Like we did a hire for a client, I think about 6 months ago, and the candidate refused to fill it out. They're like, that's voodoo. I don't want to do it. I was like, okay. I'm like, sorry. I'm like, okay. But most people learn a lot from it. It's really eye opener when you can do it. To me, I always want to, before you buy one, have yourself do it. Like because there's salespeople that do it, like they'll try to sell you a package. Yeah, but do it yourself and you'll get your own results back. It's pretty interesting to do it. So
Just gonna say, for questioners,
do it on yourself. Yeah. To me,
share that with like, here's me.
yeah, here's your significant other.
Here's you, right?
Yeah. So to me, personality profiles, crew leader and above. Not for laborers. If you're hiring a crew leader and above, 100% do it. It's well worth it. It's a great investment in it. And your hiring percent of hiring the right person will, the percent of increasing will triple, double, like it'll just significantly go up. Right, rather than just hiring off a resume and having a couple questions for someone. It doesn't lie. People can't lie on a survey because they're just random questions that make no sense at all. Someone smarter than us. So let's take 5 minutes, grab pizza, come on back, and we'll keep talking because we're having great conversation. So, all right. For those of you online, hopefully you ordered pizza. Yeah. Sorry we didn't deliver it to your house. Maybe next month. Yeah. Yeah, if you're online and you didn't get pizza, you should have come.
Not too late.
Right, everyone grab some pizza, come back. Well, you don't have to come back. If you want to leave, feel free. I know who is here, who wasn't here, so I know where you all work. I'll come see you this week. Exit, I'll do an exit interview of why you left the course. We do have a 50-50 draw available to everyone. Does anyone, do you want to tell us what the deal is?
Yes, 1 ticket for 5 and 3 for 10.
And what's the pot at? Do you know right now? Any idea?
It's pretty hefty.
It's pretty hefty.
Uh-huh. 40 bucks.
40 bucks. So if you would like to participate in it, we'll do it. Yeah, anyone else that wants to do it to increase the pot, and then we'll do a quick draw before everyone goes. Okay, so let's keep going. Again, great conversation. Yeah. So HR policies, this is always one of those topics that people seem to just glaze over when I talk to them about it. Again, one of these things that we see in the wintertime, people are like, we want to make a good, like this year, this is what we want to do. We want to have a great HR policy. We want to implement this type of thing. And then the season gets busy. The snow melts, the sun comes out, and then this stuff gets left behind and we don't look at it until we have an issue. And then we're like, oh yeah, shoot, we should have kept implementing it. So who here has a good HR manual somewhere? Yeah, you guys have a good one? Anyone else with an HR manual that may be sitting on a shelf that's covered in dust? No? Nothing for you guys? You guys have an HR? No? Yes, you do? Yeah? Covered in dust, or you guys use it? Very active? Good. Okay. You found one? Good. It's covered in dust. Again, most of us are really good. If you don't have an HR manual, there's tons out there. You can just pretty much type in HR manual and it'll bring one up and you can like put your name in it. It'll autofill sometimes. You'll have to change something on it. Like it may be for like a manufacturer, stuff like that. For those of you who use LMN has a whole document section. So that's really good. A lot of our clients use HR downloads. They're out of London. So that's a subscription service. Do not create a manual from scratch. Please don't do it. Like it's just, you'll never do it. So grab one that's already pre-created. If you're looking for one, let me know. I can send you a template of one. But it's really important to be able to do it. That's the first step. Most people get to that point and then they don't do anything with it. So the next step of that one is implementing it is the hard part. So having it and then not having it in dust or putting it off and then putting tons of stuff in it is really important. And this is, as an industry, this is what we don't do well, is actually holding our staff towards this and actually doing the things that are in the manual to do because we're just too busy. So, yeah, so action items on, so who has a manual? Tree company, you guys have one? How do you guys use it? How do you leverage it within the organization? Every year? Good. That's excellent. Good check. Yep. Okay. Okay, good. So for those of you online, you guys update it annually, review it, post it so it's visual so people can see it. Okay. Anything else? Yeah. Yep. That's awesome. Yeah. That's great. That's awesome. You guys are doing an amazing job on that. So again, a couple of summaries for you if you didn't hear that. Just keep bringing it up. It has full of content. So to me, the legal side of this is just because you have the book doesn't mean that it means anything, right? So it really has to sit there and say, yes, we taught sections of this book. Like to me, don't hand a book to someone when they first got hired and say, please read this and sign off on it, right? Because they didn't read it. Like that's just, it's like drinking from a fire hose. It's not, they're actually not getting anything. If you can break it up in short chunks, like at a safety meeting, that's great. Hey, we want to go through the driving policy. We want to go through health and safety policy, whatever those policies are. They're dry. Don't get me wrong. They're brutal. But then it's like everyone signs off on, yes, I heard this, I understand it, and go from there. That's the easiest way to do it for sure. So.
as much as like as boring as they are, the HR downloads, like that is actually a pretty good tool, because the employee, when they're new or ongoing, the portal is email and visual link, they sign in, they have to watch the videos.
Yep.
Answer very basic questions, and then it shows that you watched the video and then the HR person.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. And again, leverage technology when it comes to that type of stuff. They are boring, but it's mandatory. We have to do it. And it protects us, right? And that's the problem we have. Yeah. So Darren?
A lot of them I find are written for company. Won't be afraid to make your own notes and change things.
Yeah.
I read one recently and told me game over 100, well, over 100 on 401. I was responsible for ensuring company did go online time and stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff you don't agree to, well, your copies are easy.
Yeah. Again, break it down. I love the fact that you guys are reviewing it. You have to review it annually, sign off on it saying, yes, management did review it annually. Again, it's painful, but it's what we have to do. Yeah, talk about it in small sections, training on it. Again, safety talks are perfect for that type of thing. Any other ways you guys are kind of leveraging that employee manual? Anyone making it part of the hiring process? Like you're referring to that during the hiring process? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have quite a bit of HR policies, yeah, like driving, yeah, different like safety policies.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Levies.
Yeah, like ladders, like, I mean, we're trying to build up repertoire. with
Yeah.
Policies, and yeah, we do the tailgate talks too.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So again, it's very dry. It's very difficult. But the other thing we hear all the time is we're always looking for content for safety talks. So leverage that. It's already pre-created for you. So again, if you can be creative with it, do something with it that's not just dry. Don't have someone come up there and read the policy like word for word, because it just doesn't happen. You can summarize it and then but you need everyone to sign off on it, saying like, even if it's just a sign-in sheet, like, here's what we talked about, please sign, date it. That way, that's protection for you, to sit there and say, yes, this person did read the policy, or this person was part of the training. They did sign off on it. Because when someone gets hurt, the first thing you're going to have in an investigation is show me that this person was trained on this. And if you don't have a signature, it didn't happen. It's on us to prove that that person's there. So
if you're saying don't have, when they get hired, my policy is you read through all of the stuff and you sign off on it, even if they're just signing.
yeah,
Right? Because you need to have sign off on it for them to start work.
Yeah.
I guess you could reintroduce it afterwards, but they have to sign it.
they still have to sign it. But again, if you hand them like whatever, if it's digital, you're probably handing them like 60 pages of it, and just understanding like, did you actually understand it? No, we understand you scrolled to the bottom and went, I accept, yes, and gone from there. And that's where it comes into that practical side of it, right? Just to sit there and say, hey, like, especially for new hires, you were hired 5 years ago. We've updated 5 different policies since then. So that's the other thing. If you update a policy, you need to have everyone sign off on it, right? So, and again, typically we honestly update a policy only when something went wrong, right? So like one time, I think the last one I had to do at my last job is that we got 2 people got caught within a month of not telling us they didn't have a driver's license. So they lost their license, crew leaders, but didn't tell us. So like, okay, every 6 months we need a verification that you have a driver's license, right? Because we got caught. They didn't tell us. We're like, well, you didn't have a policy to tell you that you lost your license. I'm like, you're right, we don't. Now we do. Everyone signed on the new policy, say, if you lose your driver's license, you need to tell us, right? So, so again, those policies get updated because it's usually it's solving a pain point that we've done. So do include it in your onboarding program. Like I said, it's really good. I always like it. Does anyone have a good onboarding program? We can talk about onboarding programs. Anyone have a good checklist for staff when they get onboarded? Okay, how long would it take to get through? If I want to come work at the supply yard now, how long does it take?
Yeah, that's what the HR dealt with.
Yeah.
Watch the videos.
Yeah.
Watch the videos.
Okay. Watch the videos play on Instagram. Good.
Like, done it, full video, played all the way.
Yeah.
Go fast forward.
Okay. Anyone else have a good onboarding plan or onboarding plan or not an onboarding plan?
Pretty good checklist. It would take a lot longer than a couple of hours.
Yeah.
It takes weeks.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think I would say a good 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of hoops to jump through and I also offer an incentive that part of their salary is that they start at a lower rate. They get a bump for finishing all of what my company is about.
Yeah.
So, and it's a full page and there's a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cohesive, but it's always a work in progress.
Yeah.
Stop.
I do like the idea that it takes a couple weeks. And I do like the idea that it involves more people than just the owner or maybe the HR person without the company, right? So I think it's good to spread that out. Like if you have a fleet person, get the fleet person to do all the equipment type of stuff. If you have an HR person, get them to do all the legal stuff. If you have a finance person, then get them to do all the, here's how you get paid and doing all that type of stuff. The owner can talk about, I love when owners talk about culture, where the company is going, all that high level stuff. Operations team can actually do some operations stuff. Like here's how we fuel this, all that type of stuff. I love when crew leaders teach their crew how to run their piece of equipment and sign off on it. Right. Because the crew leader can never complain. Well, you didn't give me anyone that wasn't trained. I'm like, well, you were the trainer. We empowered you to do that. You need a checklist to sit there and say, did you walk them through these 10 things? But again, spreading that out. I like that idea of incentivizing them. So like if you get through all these things, we're going to give you an extra 50 cents a dollar. I don't care what it is, but that shows them the initiative as well. I like self. Now my words are going to do it. Self-initiating onboarding plans. So that's how you're going to tell if you have an A player or a C player. An A player will get through their onboarding plan when they have to pace themselves. When they have to like go to HR, they have to make an appointment with finance to sit there and say, hey, I'm new here. Can I book a call with you? Or can I book an appointment with you or stuff like that? Those A players are going to get through that really quick. It's the C players that aren't going to do it. You'll be 2 months in and they're like, how are you making it with your onboarding plan? Well, I haven't had time. Well, what do you mean you haven't had time? Well, I just been so busy. I put on a crew. I don't want to do it. That's going to tell me right away. That's kind of that one of those flags I look at right away. So those A players will get it done right away. And it's really interesting to see people that way. I'm like, I want more of those people that take the self-initiative to do that, but putting some money towards it as well helps as well. So for sure. Any other comments on onboarding process? Again, if you don't have one, let me know. I can get you one and do that. So next slide. I think we're going to go through 2 slides here because I talked a lot about this. Next slide. This was the phrase we were looking for, I think, right here. So the only thing worse than training your employees is having them leave is not training them, having them stay. And we hear this all the time. The number one pushback I get with if I do this, if I send them to here, if I send them to LO, is that they're going to leave me. And I'm like, you're right. There's a good chance they're going to leave you. That's the one thing that our industry is not good. It's a low entry barrier. It doesn't, most of us got into this industry at a low entry barrier. Most of us started with a truck, a trailer and a lawnmower, or a stone saw and a packer and stuff like that. But that is the huge risk. To me, I think if you actually train people well and you show them like really how hard it is to run a business, they're going to stay. Most of us aren't actually honest with our own staff and we don't share enough with them about what ownership really is like. If you're an owner in this room right now and the last 3 years has been the hardest years as an owner, like owners are burnt out right now. Like Steve, you and I were commenting on our gray hair. When I first met you, neither one of us was gray. It is really, really difficult to be a business owner right now, but so many of us are not actually sharing with our staff what it's actually like to be an owner. And you don't have to share the worst with them, but you have to understand, they just don't know what's going on, right? They think that you're making tons of money. They think that you have all this time off and they don't see you at 8 o'clock at night going home and doing quotes and doing all that type of stuff and not seeing your kids. They just think that doesn't even exist, right? They're just working for you and they think you're taking all kinds of money in. If you were actually honest with them and show them what it was like, they're probably not going to leave you. They'll stay with you because they're like, I don't want to do that for that little money, because all of us owners are not getting paid enough to do what we're doing. So yeah. Next one. Employee retention program. So again, I mentioned this early on. As an industry, we have a retention issue, not a hiring issue. So the one thing I would love for you to do this week or this month before we get back together, some of your homework is go back for the last 2 seasons. So I always split this up. So go back through your last winter season, staff that started with you in November and April, whatever your start and end dates are. Do a survey of how many people as a percent stayed. If you fire a staff member, that doesn't hurt your percent. So if you're like, we started the winter with 20 people, we let 2 people go, you're down to 18. And then from there, how many people stayed from there? If you're above 80%, please let me know, because you guys are doing an amazing job. Most companies we find around 40 to 50% retention rate. If you are in that, then there's lots of stuff you can learn here. And again, there's lots of stuff, and thank you for coming. But yeah, so there's lots of programs that we can do. We're going to talk about some ways we can retain our staff. So yeah, for winter and then summer, you could do the same thing for summer. I'd never use 12 months because it's really 2 different businesses. And a lot of our staff right now are struggling to keep, I think gone are the days of keeping a staff member for 12 months of the year. There's a lot of people that are green heavy. Actually, I had lunch with an owner today, and he's heavy design build and does a little bit of snow, and his staff have come to him and said, hey, I'm going to take the layoff for the winter time. I don't want to do snow. Right. They're like, nope, it's not worth it. I don't want to do it anymore. So which is okay for him, because he's like, I was doing snow to keep staff busy, but they're coming to me saying they don't want to do snow, which is fine. The companies that are doing heavy snow and maintenance are going to have a hard time keeping guys for snow. It's so hard on their family life. Most of them right now can't make the switch. Like they just can't go from working a day shift to come in at 2 o'clock in the morning and work another shift. Right. That's all I knew. Most of us knew that. But it's pretty hard. So, but again, in order to do that, there's some things we can do. So the one thing I really love to do, I love a training passports. Again, we talked about some leadership development programs, and then again, investing your people. So anyone have a training passport, like an actual written one? So there's some, yeah. So what does it look like?
I don't know too much about it.
No? Adam does? Okay. All right. So probably we gave you a template for you guys to do. So training passport for me is, again, it's all around. So we typically do it by division. So depending on what division you work in. So let's say your landscape construction division, what we'll do is we'll sit there and say, if you can do this skill set, here's the things you need to do with the skill set. It's worth another $1 to me. Then if you can do this skill set, here's another $1 for you. If you can do this skill set, then here's another $1 for you. Yep.
You find out that, like I did that 20 years ago.
Yep.
I got 0 uptake. It took me hundreds of hours to put that together.
Yeah.
Like, way back.
Mhm.
And I never got any uptake.
Yeah.
Maybe I was making it too hard, or should it be stupid easy?
Yeah.
Or should it be really involved, or what do you, how like, because I know what that would take to make.
Yep.
Done it.
Mhm.
It sucks when people don't.
When people don't do it.
People don't do it.
Yeah.
You know, they used to come to me and complain, oh, I didn't make enough. I want to make more.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah.
This is how you do it.
Mhm.
And step 1, step 2, step 3,
Yeah.
step 4. But did it all up, 0 update.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell?
So to me, a
mean-
good training passport is all tied to pay. If you want $1 more than what you're doing here, it's not about tenor. We're not going to give you a tenor. Maybe that you get a raise based on inflation or something like that. But if you want any more dollars, it all comes to a training passport. And then as owners, most of us hate annual reviews, especially annual compensation reviews, because it does come down to, it's a nice good negotiation. I've been here for 1 more year. I haven't pissed you off. I've shown up most of the time. I've treated clients well. So I deserve an extra, I think I deserve an extra $10. Right? You are on the other side as owner going, no, I remember you pissing off this client. I remember you drove over the stone saw. Like you remember all that stuff. I don't think you're worth $1. Right. And then it becomes this, and then you'd sit there and say, and as owners, we're like, but if I don't give him that $10, he's going to leave me. Right. So to me, a good training passport takes all of that out. Right. And then again, it's self-initiative for the staff member to be able to do that, to sit there and say,
Is this technology, is this self-developed?
how to do it. Yeah, like it's just a template. Like, so again, like just take, to start out, does someone know how to run a stone saw? Right? Just basically like, do you know how to put the gas in it? Do you know how to change the filter on it? Do you know how to change the blade on it? Just something like that. That's worth 50 cents an hour to me. Right? Rather than someone's like, oh, I don't know how to use the stone saw. right? Do you know how to run an excavator? Do you know how to run a skid steer? Do you know how to grade with something like that, right? Just those basic stuff like that. Can you lay out a patio? Can you set elevations on a patio? Like some of all those things like that are just put in that someone needs to double check that that person is competent on it. But then that goes back to, if we invest in them, the people are going to stay. We talked about this early on, I think with Colin originally, like if you celebrate it, we're not good at celebrating as owners. If we celebrate that and we're constantly showing people like, hey, so-and-so created gifts or like a little certificate. Hey, people love certificates, like completion certificates. I think they're the stupidest thing in the world. It's like blue ribbons, right? But if you sit there and say, hey, Johnny completed 5 of his things at our staff meeting, here's 5 different things he's completed, and people see that, they're like, well, Johnny's doing it, so I should probably do it. You know, create that momentum and that excitement around it. So, yep.
Should you tie the, I don't know if they're different mini passports or all the different like certifications to specific raises, or is it case by case? You need these things, how it fits?
Yeah, I like to do it as a part of a career ladder as well at the same time, to sit there and say, so if you are a laborer with us, here's the pay rate that you get. It's from this dollar to this dollar. And for you to get in there, here's the things you need to do within that range. As soon as you become a lead hand, it's this range to this range, and your training passport has that all in. So it's one document.
Get to the top of that, you have to certify.
You have to certify all those things. And to me, I don't want that person to wait till an annual review. Like if someone comes to me and says, I completed 5 things this week, I'll give you those 5 incremental pays. Right. And again, to celebrate, to show people that, hey, so-and-so's doing this, and it creates momentum. That's the problem that most of us don't do. We get busy. We're like, oh yeah, so-and-so did do it or didn't do it. And then again, so to me, I'm like, you need to put the initiative on the staff member, not you pushing it. Right. And again, once you get some momentum, it creates excitement. So.
Well, I mean, it was great. Like, to be honest, after I developed it 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't have any problems with people asking me for money.
Yeah.
I mean, it was right there.
Yeah.
They just didn't ask.
They didn't ask. Yeah. So, yeah. So to me, the best policy for me, and you can make an employment policy when they start, like, listen, other than maybe a cost of living increase, every raise you're going to get here when you come here is going to be based on this manual. Right. So keep it with you, keep it in your lunchbox, keep it in the truck with you. Again, if you want a raise, you're going to come to me and tell me when you need a raise. Right. So and if you come to me, you need a raise and you don't have it checked off, there's none of this feeling type of thing that goes in.
Such a heartache because I did it. And it was like,
yeah. So,
but I probably didn't market it to the staff properly.
You just got to you got to get that excitement back into it. That
also download it off me.
Yeah.
You know, like now what I do with onboarding and stuff as well is that have the other members of the team do that checking.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Crew leader can sign off on a bunch of that stuff. You don't have to as an owner. No, right. So
passport, same,
yeah.
Trained by. So
again, most owners hate compensation reviews. It's awful. Right. We dread them and all the staff want it. They want feedback, but we hate having a compensation review. And this takes all that hate out of it for it because it's just black and white.
So speaking of that, how often should you be doing
in a review? Yep. So I would say, honestly, for me, I'm fine with annual, right? But that's just my personality. Some of these people are like quarterly. Like if you could do a quarterly, which is just painful in my opinion, because I don't have that much time. But if you can do it, like most of this generation wants more feedback faster, right? If they don't have feedback, they're putting a story to what's going on. Right. So if you can give them feedback, and again, if you can put them on a training passport, that gives you the opportunity to say, congratulations, you're doing a good job.
Any automation?
Put in your calendar. That's what we do.
Oh yeah, no, but
yeah. On the training passport.
No, it's true.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, I put it on your calendar, right? Because time flies. So like when we have a new hire, everyone goes into it, right? So yeah, 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, put in your calendar. So when it comes up, give yourself 5 days notice as a reminder, so it comes up on your phone, like, hey, 5 days from now you have so-and-so as that, just get it into your routine. So any other questions on the training passport? If you don't have one, it's not that hard to do, but again, can be very company specific. If you do snow, same thing. Hey, here's a shovel, here's a bucket of salt, right? You know how to do it. You don't know how to do it. If you want to run a loader, here's a good loader training for you. So the professional development programs, leadership, sales training, practical training. Again, there's so much stuff at LO. Like, please, the whole book that's there. We get an email every week. Who's doing the professional development? She sends us an email once a week now. Kathy, yes. So Kathy, if you're not getting a professional development, an email from Kathy, every week she sends us an email, and she'll tell you like 3 or 4 courses that are going on every week at LO. Again, take advantage of it. There are lots there. Sales training, sales team. Who's the sales team? Or one person that's first. Lisa, you're there. Anyone else? You guys have a sales team? Are you the sales team? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So to me, sales training, this is invaluable. We love Andrew Wall, Sandler sales training. He's in Milton. He's been in our industry tons. Sales to me is not something I do well. It's not something I know well. Andrew Wall is amazing at it. So shout out to Andrew if you're listening to this. But yeah, he like the Sandler sales training. Most of us chase too many leads. Our closing rate's not good. We don't ask enough questions to go through that stuff. If you have a sales team, to me, investing in a sales training program is really, really good. Again, good use of time. And then practical training. We've talked a lot about practical training. So again, to me, investing in the people is the best retention program you're going to have, even though there's a chance they might leave. But I think again, if you're getting to that point of someone might be leaving, have an honest conversation with them, right? Just how's it going? What's going on? Yeah, I think again, showing we care, showing empathy for people, will keep people around a long time. So that's it. What's the next one there? Safety programs. This one we struggle with a lot, just kind of like the HR policy. Again, most of us have a good training safety program. It sits on the shelf, collects dust, or we put it in charge of someone else. So the first thing I talk about safety program, it has to start with the owner. If the owner's not bought into the safety program, then the program's going to fail. So don't put a health and safety committee together. Most of us, if you're over a certain size, you're mandatory to have a health and safety program. But if the owner's not bought in, the program's just going to fail. So like typically I'll be like, when we do kind of a discovery day, I'll be like, as an owner, I'm like, how do you feel about safety? It's like, what's a waste of time? I'm like, okay, that has to change because safety is important. We all want our staff to go home safe, but a lot of us don't see the value in actually putting the time and effort into it. But it really starts at the top. It also starts with explaining the why. So anyone read Simon Sinek's why? What's the Simon Sinek book? Start with why. Right. If no one ever read that book, it's a really good book of just explaining the why. And again, you're going to have to explain the why to your staff over and over and over again. So as soon as you've said it 7 times, you need to say it another 7 times. And again, I'm brutal at this. One of my weaknesses, I feel if I've told you once, if you've nodded your head and said yes, you understand it. If you didn't, you'd ask for clarification. And I've been burnt on this way too many times. But understanding the why, including in a budget, how many people have a budget that's safety as a line item? You actually put money, like actually line item budget for it. Anyone? No? Yes, you guys have a number? Yeah. Do you have a percent that you would typically do? 1%. Okay, that's a good number. Yeah. So to me, that's where I would start. Yeah. Like when you do budget, I think the first thing to start, 1% of your top line revenue should go to safety. And that could be safety meetings. It could be safety talks. It could be putting a safety program in place. It could be sending someone to do, what's the joint health and safety program, something. But if you put some money towards it, you're going to have more success. If you leave it to the last minute, then you're not going to have the money. Then the owner's going to be like, well, we don't have the money for it. And you're like, okay, well, no, as long as we're on budget and we're hitting our sales targets and stuff like that, then, but if you put money towards it, then it shows that. Demonstrate how important to the staff are you, which is really, really good. Again, that starts at the top. I can't say this enough. It starts with the owner. The owner has to be engaged in it or it's not going to work for that. And the accident triangle, I say, can you take this for me? So people always ask me on safety. I'm big on KPIs, like key performance indicators. What should we be measuring? So people are always like, what should I be measuring in my safety program to know that we're on track? And I want to measure near misses. So a near miss for me, we have near misses every day. If each one of you went to your own company today, you would have a multitude of near misses in your company today, no matter what. The thing is, we don't talk about near misses because it's always like, oh, it just something happened, right? For maintenance, it's always like on a rainy day, it's the guy slipping on the ramp of the maintenance trailer. That was a near miss. Like the guy's using, I've seen too many times with the walk behinds with the hand, with maybe the old controllers where you walk behind and they get behind it like an aluminum sign and you get too close and it slices your hand off, or, stuff like that. We have way too many near misses that we need to be talking about. And the reason why I want to talk about near misses so important is because The numbers say 600 near misses creates 30 minor incidences, which is 10 serious incidences with 1 fatal incident. So I've been in the industry for plus 30 years. I've had 3 deaths in the companies I've worked with in my lifetime. 3 deaths. Okay, so I'm like, holy crap, that's a lot. And then 30 years. So this happens a lot. We are, especially in snow. Snow is the worst because we're out, we're tired, we're pushing guys in a not a great environment. We push them longer than they should be working. But yeah, so there's lots of accidents that happen. But if you're measuring those near misses and you're prioritizing that as a team, that would be a huge thing. So again, if you're looking for one thing to take away in your safety program this week, just start measuring near misses, just start talking about them, because a lot of those near misses can be solved. And again, you can proactively take those and start celebrating near misses with your team rather than once there's an accident, then everyone has to react. Right. So the level between 600 and 30, 600 is all proactive type work. When it hits 30, it's all reactive. Right. As soon as you got to fill a form out, then everyone has to stop what they're doing and do it. All the 600 near misses that we do will eliminate a bunch of that type of stuff. So
We use that, and I think the important thing of that graphic is to recognize that you don't do the near misses.
Yeah.
That triangle stays the same, so take out the near misses, and all those opportunities, fatal, serious, and minor, fill that triangle.
Yeah.
And those numbers become bigger.
Bigger,
That's
100%.
what's important.
Yeah, because you can solve all those near misses proactively, right?
Yeah.
But we don't, and then the numbers do climb for sure. So, Steve, did you have your hand? Oh,
I was just saying, how do you celebrate it? Or what's a good way of doing that? Is that tailgate talks and say, okay, everybody unload your misses this week, or do you compile them?
no, again celebrate. So to me, if you do a weekly talk, have everyone bring 1 near miss for the week. They have it all the time. Like it's just crazy how many near misses we have. We just we don't talk about them. We don't think about them. But once you start talking about them, people will come up with them. Like you'll get gangbusters on them. And there's a lot of them that are like, okay, that's just like, I guess in my world, it was like shit happens, right? You're like, oh man, that's changed my underwear on that one, right? You're like, nothing happened, but it was close, right? So even stuff like backing a truck up, like we do this I see it all the time, backing a truck up and another truck comes in behind it. That's a near miss, right? No one got hurt. It didn't create a collision or anything like that, but that's a near miss to sit there and say, let's talk about it, right? What should we do, right? Some people would say you need a spotter. Before you back anything up, you need someone behind you to spot, right? But again, it doesn't have to be costly, but it is important just to talk about it. Once you start, and again, I would just give a couple to start. And then once you start giving examples of stuff that you've seen, then it'll just, the floodgates will open. And then again, as an owner, you can't ignore those things. You got to say, okay, how can we solve them and stuff like that? But then starts set up. So.
Yeah, we had an in-business form and that would get sent to the project manager, the health and safety committee, and then they would discuss on site.
Yeah.
And then at the next tailgate talk, that would be discussed.
Yeah.
With the whole company.
Yeah.
And then we just carry on.
Yeah, just carry on. Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah. Again, celebrate it. To me, there's lots, like the one company we do, the person with the most near misses gets a gift card. Right, someone who comes up with the like good ones, not like crappy ones, but like some well thought out or actual real ones will do it. And again, but bring it up at normal tailgate talks, right? Make it part of your tailgate talk agenda of how many near misses did we have. So, any other comments on this one? No. Okay. Next slide. Job descriptions. Again, how many have job descriptions? Okay. Most people have a good job description. How many of you have a job description that has those 3 things? It shows accountability, clarity, and it measures performance, not just what they're supposed to do when they get hired. Like there's actual measurables. No? Okay. So if you don't have a good job description has to have these 3 things. So again, who they're accountable for, what is it? What are some numerical things that they need to be doing? You can put near miss. We expect you as an employee of this business to come out with 1 near miss a week. Something like that that's measurable on it. And then what's again measure performance. So if it's tied to a book, like if it's tied to your training manual, that's a good one to put in there. Hey, we expect you as your job description to be able to follow through on this on your training manual, stuff like that. So it needs to be reviewed regularly, updated regularly. Yeah, and just constantly review it. Again, it's kind of a painful process for most of us, but it is really, really good as far as that goes. So again, most of us hire someone and we put that job description away. I think you need to bring out the job description anytime you sit down with someone, bring the job description out. Let's go through the job description. How are we on track? If we're not on track, and go from there. So, Colin?
I've always struggled with measuring performance for the lowest positions, laborers, people right on the front lines. The foremen have access to lots of information on an element. They can see their time for the whole crew. And I understand what you're saying with like labor, provide that leads, training things on time and things like that. But how can you measure their performance if they're on a crew and they're not really in charge of what the crew is doing?
Yeah. So they have to have a direct impact in the number that they have, right? It's hard when you're on a maintenance crew.
Yeah.
So to me, I want to be able to celebrate that crew. Again, hard if you're moving crew members around, but like it's easier on a landscape construction job typically, because typically most of the crews are the crew for that job, right? So to be able to celebrate that as a team, to sit there and say, we have 300 hours for this job. There's 3 of us, divided by that equals that we have 100 hours for each one of you, and you can celebrate that because that's directly there. To me, damage on equipment is easy to be measured. So if you do have a damaged equipment, that is typically directed to an employee. Again, to me, shit happens. For me, winter damage is, I always typically ask guys to budget. If you have a winter program, 2% of your revenue needs to go to a shit happens budget. Like we're going to run over, all of our clients run over at least 1 or 2 cars every year. Just backing a loader through a mall, someone pulls out, you're going to run over a car. Doesn't really matter. We take lampposts down all the time. My son's working in an excavation company and he came home 2 weeks ago. He's like, Dad, I took a lamppost down. I'm like, that was good. It only took you 2 years. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, dude, I cannot tell you how many lampposts I've taken down. I'm like, they're like paper mache. Like you just touch them and they go down. Yeah, so I do like that. That was one. Near misses is important for me. Damage, because again, a lot of damage happens with 1 or 2 particular people. So flat tires, all that type of stuff. There's lots of stuff you can measure when it comes to crew members and stuff like that. So, yep.
I think one of the things I identified even this year with our company is everyone wears a lack of talent. And how do we get that labor to lead, right? And I think that's one of our things that we're really trying to work on this year, right? And so when you're looking at your career ladder or your job descriptions, maybe adding in, how does that labor get to lead here?
Yeah.
And I think it benefits the company and helps that.
Yeah, that career ladder is perfect for that, right? Because that crew leader wants to know, how do I get up to that next position? So you can show them that type of thing, right? But there's measurables in each one of those steps too that they have to hit. For sure. Yep. Any other job descriptions, horror stories, things you do well? Yep. Yep. Yeah, as you grow, thank you, Rob, for being online. Appreciate it. And I think as you grow, the owner should do less and less job reviews or like performance reviews. And I think you need to get crew members, you need to coach crew members on. But the best person to do a performance review is their direct report. That takes a lot of work, trust me, because those people that are crew leaders or like just whatever you want to call them, have never been taught that before. But if you can help them do that and coach them on that, again, that's investing in them to be able to do that. But they're actually the best person to actually do that review for that person, especially if you're like 3 level. Like if you have you're the owner, you have a management team, and then the crew leader. As an owner, you can't really speak into that. You're only hearing it from a third part, like you're hearing it through a game of telephone almost, right? So, and typically as owners, we only remember the bad stuff. We don't remember all the good stuff that's happening. So. Anyone else have a second layer that the owner doesn't do it? Or does all the owners do their own reviews? You do all your reviews? No? You have another layer down? Okay. Good. Perfect. Again, that would be, as an owner, that would be the one thing I would take off right away. Because I hate them. I hate doing them. I've never been good at them. I lose sleep over them. Yeah, I can have a customer yell at me all day long and I don't lose sleep over it. As soon as I have to do an annual review with the person, I'm just like freaked out. My wife's like, are you okay? Like, I'm like, yeah. So, okay, let's move on. If there's nothing else for job descriptions. Next one. Employee discipline. Again, this goes back to that manual, the manual that you've created. I love this one. One of my mentors taught me this. What we permit, we promote. We permit way too much bad behavior in our companies, which in turn, we promote it to the rest of the team. So we have people, we have that one person that has been with us forever. And again, every company has them. And we allow them to show up late. We allow them not to have a uniform on. We allow them to not keep their truck clean. We allow them to do all kinds of stuff because we're like, but that person is just blah, put ... on there. And what that does is it just permits to everyone else that, you know what, there's no consequences in this business. So eventually, if as long as you put enough time in, you can do what you want and you can have the place to yourself. Like you can run it yourself. Again, we hate this. We hate most of us when there's a crucial conversation. And if you want a book review, this is the best book you can ever get. Actually, I gave my last copy away today to a contractor. Crucial Conversation is an amazing book. We did a webinar on it. But just it teaches us as contractors and anyone to have what a crucial conversation looks like and how do we do that so it's a win-win-win for everyone. Most of us, as soon as something is hard, we overanalyze the conversation. We think about the 10 things that could go here, and then we end up paralyzed and not doing anything. This book is really good. But we have to get on top of that. If we permit that person to do it, and typically it's a senior person that's got away with it, and then we just allow it to come in. Attendance was huge over the last 2 years. We permitted, and again, it was a bad cycle. Attendance for most people, when I would talk to contractors, like we've stopped taking attendance because I'm just like, I can't, I'm just happy that people show up. I'm not tracking it. I can't punish it if people don't show up. And I'm like, that's a bad cycle to get out of. But we permitted it at the beginning, not to punish someone or not to tell someone. And we're just, the next day they come in and they're like, we're just so thankful to have you. Even though yesterday they didn't show up, no show, no call. But we've now permitted that to everyone else to be like, okay, well, what we've learned now is if you work here, you don't have to show up. The next day, we're going to celebrate you because we're just happy you to come in. We've permitted that. It's a bad cycle. Trust me, I've been in it. That to me, 3 strikes are out. I love the 3 strike scenario. Again, my empathy is very low for my weakness. I'm a 1 strike and you're out type of person. So then my wife will tell you that. So to me, 3 strikes you're out. The first one is just, I'm going to give you a verbal. I'm going to write it in your file, but I'm going to give you a verbal. The second one is you're going to get a verbal and a written. So you're going to see something, you're going to sign it. The third one is thank you very much. There's the door. And here's your compensation for whatever it is. If you can do 3 strike, you're out. You will, again, you're not going to permit the stuff and you're going to be able to do it. Typically by the second time, people are going to go, oh, that person's serious. Right? That's the thing. Yeah. When you're not doing it, you're not helping the employee at all. So, Colin?
Now, the discipline doesn't need to be termination, like it could be suspension, things like
100%. Yeah, I don't care what it is, but there's got to be some sort of, like visible. Yeah. Like if they're late 3 days in a row, you're not going to fire them, but maybe the 3. And again, your manual will say this is what it is. It's already predetermined. If you predetermine that stuff in advance, then when it actually happens, you don't have to think about it. You're like, well, what's the proper punishment for this? You're like, no, we already predetermined if these 3 strikes are out is whatever is that. Right? Too many. The one thing I see right now that we're seeing a huge increase in is employees with and I don't know why, whether it's just coming to a head or something like that, where more guys are taking trucks home. Company truck violations right now after hours is like unbelievable. We have a bunch of issues with guys taking trucks home and speeding, accidents, not reporting accidents. What else? We've had like 4 or 5 incidents this last 2 or 3 weeks now. Where it's just crazy. It's just like, guys, you're taking a company truck home. Do you understand? Again, not taking, some guys will say you can take it home, but you can't use it after hours. You need permission, stuff like that. Someone took off to Michigan with one. They went across the border with it. I'm like, what? And they had a policy that you can't leave. Like, you get to take it home. It gets parked till you're done. And then when you come in the morning, and this person took it to Michigan and was surprised when they got caught. They're like, what do you mean? And they're like, so surprised, right? So that one to me is like, that's a major, right? So, but yes, for whatever reason, whatever reason, if you don't have a vehicle policy, please do it. I don't know, maybe we're giving trucks away more than we used to as far as employees go. But it's crazy right now. It's too much. especially with CVORs and stuff like that, right? Like if your CVOR gets pulled, we're screwed, right? The staff don't understand that. If they get a speeding ticket in a truck, they don't know the CVOR. And you don't know what is it either, typically, right? And all of a sudden, if you get 2 or 3 incidents on CVOR, then you're screwed. We've actually got people now that the CVOR is so hard to get right now. We're actually having companies, if you're in snow, free Timbit for you, apply for a second CVOR, start another holding corp, ask for a CVOR, because if you lose your CVOR in your business, and they're actually cracking down on it, right? They'll come and sit there and say, pull the plates. And because if you pull the plates in all your maintenance trucks tomorrow, we're screwed, right? So at least if you have another CVOR, you can go get stuff registered, but if you can't, so just a Timbit on that one, but again, to get around it. And then again, to me, this is teach crucial conversations. Again, most owners are not good at crucial conversations. We run from conflict. But again, if you do it, if you learn it and can do it, it saves you a lot of headache and just being proactive on it. So. Final questions. Yeah, so this is the homework. Again, this is part of the interactive. So this is, if you're here with your team, this is what I'd like you to do this month. Okay, so you can take this back. What do we do well as a company in these areas? So again, just write out the things that we're doing well. Like based on the conversation we had today, what areas do we need improvement on? Again, we all need improvement. Again, none of us are perfect when it comes to this. What should we implement in the next 30, 60, 90 days, if you want to say that? How is our HR and safety programs? And then how does spending time and resources on these areas improve our current business? So when we get back together next month, we're going to start with this. And I'm hoping that most of you will be back. And I'm going to ask for volunteers to go through this and share some examples of what this is. Okay, so this is interactive. If you want, what I've offered LO, if you guys want to talk about this and you want to talk to me about it, I'm available to you. Okay, so if you're like, hey, Grant, I'd like to be held accountable for this, or I don't know what this is, some free resources, you want to talk about this, my card's here. So if you want a card, it's a QR code, not a paper code, trying to be technology. You can scan that or talk to me. I'm happy to do a call with you. I'm happy to keep you accountable for some of this stuff. But yeah, like again, the whole goal of this is that everyone leaves here tonight with some takeaways. How do we improve the business, engage with your staff, and then make your business better starting right away. And that's it for tonight. Yes, we took it a little bit longer. It's 9:15, so we started a little bit later. Then it was more content for an hour, but so.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you on behalf of everyone here. I think that was a fantastic meeting. We can all.
One takeaway. But what about safety? Give me one specific thing you want to implement.
I just transferred those to the 12-foot blade with no white gold permit and no banners.
Yeah.
Twice last week, so.
Yeah.
Of course I didn't, but.
I know. Yeah. Marco, I know Marco, so it's not surprising. So go ahead.
I like that the employee class. Been thinking how I might improve that.
I'll put a sample up on, we'll put a sample on the website for you. Yep. Steve?
Yeah, I like that. That ladder, how the guy starting today knows how he can get.
A career ladder.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, well, okay. Okay, we'll put that one up there too. It'll go with the training passport. It's really good. So fast tree, or what is it? Fast forest. Okay, sorry.
I think for me, it's a bit of a general thing, but a lot of this is taking a step back, and we tend to be so busy with the day-to-day that it's important to
take a deep breath and, you know, what can we do that's gonna make a change moving forward?
What's one thing you're gonna do this month?
Now you're put down the spot.
Yep, that's what the goal is. That's what the chapter wanted. They wanted something to take away.
Identifying strengths, weaknesses, and,
Yeah. Okay, I just challenge you to pick one thing that you can do this month, right? That would be excellent.
Yeah.
So,
I think, you know, the ideas and positivity and training, especially with this younger generation, it's contagious. And building on that contagious positivity is really what we're gonna do as management or owners. And talking about near misses really gets the employees interactive and talking about solutions, okay? So you're involving them. So just those types of things is really important.
yeah, good, okay. Who wants to start us off?
I like the employee passports.
Yep. Okay,
I also really like the employee passports. I wrote down a bunch of notes about them, but
Yeah.
I love the idea of having a bunch of different certifications that could potentially, you know, you're either bundling them together, saying I want these 5 or 6 things done, and then you can get this, or I could probably say each of these are worth 5 cents an hour, or something like that would be interesting. Also tying bonuses or raises to education, like continuing education.
Yeah.
Would be good.
sir?
I'm going to read the book that you suggested there.
Yep.
And the passport thing is really interesting.
I like the point about safety starts with the owner.
Yeah.
I've worked at companies before, and like even myself, like in past years, done things that are not probably the safest, right? And it's getting guys to follow safety and things like, you know, putting pylons out on the side of the road, work like that, things like that. Just, you know, you have to be willing to do it. If you were on that career, would you? That's the right.
Mhm.
I think that's kind of.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I've never put a ladder inside of a bucket in a bobcat to get higher, just so you know. Never done it before. Okay? Yeah, then it's fine. Then it's called a lift. Yes.
I've got about like 10 points, but I think it all leads to building just a team culture.
Yeah.
Like we have all this stuff there, but it's just bringing it all together with team culture to make it work.
Okay. Elise?
Yeah, I can kind of test with that one too. I think, kind of even just having, I guess with our kind of repertoire, we've worked at different landscape companies and taking things that we've liked from there and then build on that for our own policies,
Mhm.
Which I think is starting to work really well. And then just personally, I think for conversations, I kind of want to read that book that you suggested.
Crucial Conversations, yep.
Because I know sometimes, that can be hard to do
Mhm.
difficult conversation stuff, and everyone can always work on conversation.
Yeah.
And how to work.
How to do that, so, yep.
I think I'm gonna work on the reviews. Just employee reviews, just to get a sense. Cause you get the sense from staff on a day-to-day basis and. You know, it's important to them. They want it dealt with, right away. I think you set up and you create a funnel for their problems to come through and get solved.
Yeah.
But they also have to take some responsibility on themselves and say, come to, like I always say, come to me with also your potential solution for it, because, you know, you can bitch and complain about things, but until we come up with something together.
Yeah.
It's never gonna get solved.
For sure.
That's in everything.
Okay. Last but not least.
Stick with everybody. It's a training passport.
Yeah.
I did it about, not to age myself, about 35 years ago, and I was with the Coast Guard. Never thought about it as I went through kind of my early part of a career. And then now that I'm in management, kind of brings that back. So having something like that in place, and one of the takeaways the next 30 days. What I think is important, especially a company like ours, it's got a large management team, other senior staff, is to take this information back and share.
Yeah.
And tell them what I experienced, not just hold it in for myself, but
Yeah.
to give them the opportunity to understand this as well.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much. Elise, do you have a number? Do you want to?
Yeah, I just need to break them up. I need to make them. So give me.
Anyone online?
Yeah.
I'll put it in there.
The training passports and also any sort of potential grant available.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else online? No, that was it? Okay. Okay, so we'll just break up these, the Someone want to, Brent, can you pick one out?
Yeah.
Yeah. No conflict of interest unless, yeah,